Yo, what is going on, guys? I hope everybody's doing well today, and welcome back to another Bleach Immortal Soul video. In this video, I am going to be doing a updated tier list. This is going to be the third tier list I'm making, actually. The very first one I made was just when the game started. The second tier list I made was when the new batch of characters came out, and this is a third tier list right now. We have not gotten any new characters, but a bunch, and I mean a bunch of the characters have been updated, and my opinion has changed quite a lot. And this is why I am doing a new tier list. Now, three things I'd like to mention. Number one, I am not going to be doing any R or SR characters because nobody really uses them anyways. Number two, a lot of people usually after I make a tier list, a lot of people on like maybe Reddit or Discord get upset that the tier list is bad. And I can understand that because first of all, everybody has their own opinion. And second of all, if you show somebody a tier list without no explanation, then it can definitely be hard to understand cuz I'm going to try my best to explain every single character on why I put them in each spot. But if you just go around sending the pictures without no explanation, then I can understand why people might get upset. So it's totally fine. I would say maybe just, try to at least share the link or explain to someone why each character was put into that position. Because like I said, if you just show them a picture with no explanation on why each character is in here, I can definitely understand, why somebody would like get upset at the tier list and call it very bad. And number three, this is simply my personal opinion. Please do not get offended if you have a different opinion. It is totally fine, but this is my opinion just based off of what I think on every single character. Enough talking for now. Let's go ahead and get started. And the first character we got on the list is going to be Ishin. And I'm going to give Ishin a B tier. Now, the only Ishin is a really, really good Bleach team character support. Like, if you're running a Bleach team, Ishin is an absolutely amazing support for your Bleach team. The only problem with him is that he's a Vermilion bird. But even with that, I do think that he is worth B tier because he's just an insane support for a Bleach team. If you're running a Bleach team and you put Ishin in, then I definitely think that he's worth B tier because he will support you really good even though he's just a Vermilion bird. Then number two on the list, we got Unohana right here. I'm also gonna give her a B tier. She is currently the only healer that heals all of your team in the game, and she is a Black Tortoise. So if you put her on a Black Tortoise team with her heals, then it's really good. She just works out really well with Black Tortoise, and she is, like I said, the only healer in the game that heals all of your team, and that's why I give her B tier. And then Lisa, I'm gonna go ahead and put an A tier. Lisa in my last tier list video I put way lower, and I honestly regret that because my opinion has changed about her a lot. She's an absolutely amazing support. She can support any type of character, and she attacks to the back row, and she actually does a pretty good amount of damage. And she's a tiger, which is pretty good. So overall, Lisa's actually really good, and I 100% regret putting her in a lower tier. In my previous videos. And now we got Shinji here. I'm gonna put Shinji in C tier. Shinji before the update was really good. Like, he was actually a very good character before he got updated. But now, in my opinion, he's just absolutely worthless and not worth it at all. Because he's just way too expensive to get, and what he does for how much he is 100% not worth it in my opinion. I'm sorry, if this upsets you guys or anything, but this is just my opinion. It's just the problem with Shinji. He's not very usable. Like, his abilities are kind of bad, and he's a Vermilion bird on top of all of that. So that's why I give Shinji C tier because he's way too much to get. He's very expensive, and he basically does almost nothing. That's why I leave him in C tier. Now, Shinsuke, I'm gonna put in S tier. Reason I put Shinsuke in S tier is because, in my opinion, he is the best Black Tortoise character right now. He heals himself, does pretty good damage, and tanks, which is pretty much all the three aspects of a Black Tortoise character. Overall, he's a very good character, and I 100% think that he's worth it. In S tier. Love, I'm gonna. Ooh, Love is a hard one. It's kind of between A and B tier. But I think I'm gonna give him a B tier. He's a really good tank. He is a Black Torch's character, so he does tank very good, and he does a pretty good amount of damage too. However, there is one character that does the job better than him, and I will go over that character in a bit. And then we got Okiora. I'm gonna put Okiora in A tier. Now, Okiora would easily be S tier if he was just a Vermilion. I'm sorry, if he was a Black Tortoise character. But that's the problem. He's not a Black Tortoise character. He's a Vermilion Bird character. And that's why I'm going to leave Okiora in A tier. Like I said, if Okiora was a Black Tortoise, he'd easily be an S rank character. But he's not, because it makes him a little hard to run, because he's a Vermilion Bird. Now, you can link him up with somebody like Hiyori, who's a really good tank as well. And you can have like a 2 Vermilion Bird setup. But Vermilion Bird's effects are not even that good, and that's what sucks about them. But overall, Okiora is an absolute monster at tanking and life stealing. But like I said, the only reason I give him an A is because he's a Vermilion Bird. If he was a Black Tortoise, he'd easily be, in my opinion, an S tier character. And then Byakuya right here, I'm gonna go ahead and put Byakuya in B tier. Byakuya early on, if you're one of those people who spent a couple of dollars and got Byakuya when the game started, he carried you heavy, very heavy. Okiora, I'm sorry, not Okiora. Byakuya can carry you early on like crazy, man. He can carry very hard. But later on, as you progress, he definitely starts to fall off. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still really good. I still use him myself, actually. But I definitely think in the future he won't be meta, in my opinion, just because he's kind of like in between. He's just really good early on, but later on he just starts to fall off. His numbers don't keep up, and that's why I think in the future he will start to fall off. But as of right now, he's still very good, and early on he's an absolute monster. And now we got Ryuken. I'm gonna go ahead and that's a hard one. I think I'm gonna just keep him at B as well. By the way, guys, we're gonna have a bunch of characters in B. So just get ready for that. Ryuken is like an upgraded, what's his name? What's his son's name? God damn it. Uryu, I'm sorry. He's kind of like an upgraded Uryu. He supports your Azure Dragon team with like crit chance. Well, it doesn't have to be an Azure, but he is an Azure Dragon character, so I'd assume you're gonna want to run him in an Azure team so they can crit more. He's a decent crit support. I could even argue that he might be in C tier, honestly. But for now, I'm gonna leave him at B just because there is not that many crit support characters for Azure Dragon. So I think he's still definitely worth it at B. He's a pretty decent crit support if you want one, for your fully Azure Dragon team. Yami is straight into D tier. I'm sorry, but Yami I just cannot stand. He's super useless. The only way like I can see Yami being good is if he does like 20-30 round battles, but that's not even a thing in this game, unfortunately. So that's why I put Yami in D tier. I do have a video on him. In my opinion, Yami's just very bad and he's not viable at all. And then we got Kensei right here. I'm gonna put Kensei in A tier as well. Kensei is super good. He's a really good Black Tortoise character, especially after he uses his rage attack. He gets an extra 20% block chance, and that 20% block chance is what makes him an A tier character. He's just an absolute monster with his blocks. And then Koma right here, I'm gonna go ahead and put in C tier. He's just a decent tank, nothing special, but there's way better tanks and damage dealers than him, and that's why I only put him in C tier. Because I really don't think he's anything great. Gin, I'm also gonna put in C tier. Everybody knows how good his passive ability is. He does an extra 10% damage, to people who have bleed on them. So you can like rage attack with Byakuya, and then you're just gonna be doing a free 10% damage boost. While that's really good, that unfortunately does not work in the support section of your arena, so you can't really run him. And nowadays, not many people run full Azure teams, and that's why I don't think Gin is very good. Only Wells really run fully Azure teams. And you know what? For that reason, I'm gonna actually put Ryuken down here, because the only one who really runs full Azure teams is going to be big Wells, who have the most initiative. And if you're not a Well and you're running Azure characters, 99% it's not going to be Gin or Ryuken. You're going to probably have someone like, Yamamoto, Tensezon Getsu, or a couple of other characters. You really have no reason to run Ryuken or Gin unless you're running like a 4 Azure team, or maybe a 4-man Azure team in my opinion, or maybe they're your favorite character. But yeah, that is my opinion on Azures. They're just not very viable if you're not a whale. Now, Ichigo, I'm going to put I think I'm gonna put Ichigo in A tier. Reason is he's free to play. Obviously, you get him on as soon as the game starts. You get some free costumes for him, and he's actually not a bad character at all. The only reason I put him in A tier, right? Like if he was somebody you would summon, I'd probably put him in B tier. But the only reason I put him in A tier is just because he's free, right? You can get him for free. You can upgrade him for free, and he can become a UR. And he's, like I said, a decent character who does bleed damage. And for that reason, I keep him in A tier just because he's obviously free to play. Why Ichigo is going to be an S tier character in my opinion. Why Ichigo is super good. If you guys have been watching my videos on him, I absolutely love him. He does really good damage, and he can deal way, way, way more damage than Yamamoto when there's less players on the field. But overall, he's a really good damage dealer, and he can even silence enemies and stuff like that. So that's why I give Why Ichigo S tier. In my opinion, Why Ichigo is even a little better than Yamamoto, but that's just my opinion. But both of them are great. Do not get it twisted. And now we got Grimmjow. I'm gonna give Grimmjow A tier. I would give him S tier, but my problem with Grimmjow is I feel like he's a little too PvE. Like he's more PvE sided character. Because he only attacks one enemy, but that one enemy that he does attack. Oh my gosh, what did I just do? Um, where? Oh, okay, there we go. Okay, I'm so sorry about that, guys. Okay, we were on Grimmjow. Um, but yeah, he's a really good character. It's just that I feel like he's more PvE type of character over PvP because he only attacks one enemy. But like I said, that one enemy that he does attack, he deals a bunch of damage to them. So he can still be used in PvP. I just think that he's more PvE supported. But overall, he's a really great character. You can use him in PvP and PvE in my opinion. I just think that he's better in PvE situations. And that's all. Now, Soifon, I'm going to give C tier. While Soifon is great, don't get me wrong, Soifon is honestly pretty decent. There is just way, way better Azure Dragons that you can use over her. I don't really see any reason you should use her unless you're running like a 4 Azure team, but there will always be better choices over her. Hiyori, I'm going to put in B tier. Oh, also, I just realized we put Yami in D tier, didn't we? Yeah. Whatever happened to him. Okay, yeah. Soifon is in C tier. Oh, sorry. We're at Hiyori now, actually. I'm sorry. But yeah, Hiyori, I'm gonna put in B tier. She's a really, really good character to link up with Okiora right here. If you run them, together on like a two-man tank. Well, I'm not two-man. I'm sorry. She's a woman, obviously. Like if you run them as a two-partner tank up front, they're gonna be really, really good tanks, and they're gonna be doing the job for you. But the problem, like I said, Vermilion Bird doesn't really have any good effects, so that's why I'd maybe stay away from it. But it doesn't matter. They're still very good partners up top for tanking. So if you link Hiyori with Okiora, you're gonna have a very, very good tanking setup up front. Tesai, I'm gonna put in B tier. Tesai is one of the better Black Torch's characters. Because he has a chance to silence, and he's actually a pretty decent tank. I'm sorry, and he's probably the only character that you can build for reflect damage correctly. Just because one of his passive abilities has reflect damage, and you can put like a reflect damage war soul, and he'll be really good. But because he's the only like reflect damage character, and he's actually a decent Black Torches character, I'll give him B tier. We got Kaname right here. Once again, C tier. My problem with Azure characters is, like I said, it's just because nobody really runs Azure anymore. Like back in the day when the game started, like you'd see Gin, Kaname, and these characters like so much more often, but now you don't see them because people are finally figuring out how the game works. And running a full Azure team is just not the way unless like you're a very, very big whale. And that is why I'm just giving most of these Azure characters like a C tier, in my opinion, just because, they're not very viable. Gin, I might put in B tier, but for now, I think I'm still sticking to C tier with Gin. We got Tosher right here, the older version. I'm gonna put in C tier. Um, he's nothing special. You do get him for free, which is really nice. His freeze is not that high, and he's an alright tank, but overall he's just not a very good character in my opinion. He is pretty good early on though, but he falls off very very quickly. Joshiro right here. I think I'm gonna give Joshiro a C rank as well. Um, you can build like a critical team around him, and he'll be pretty decent because he can like multiple attack, rage attack multiple times. But if you don't have a crit team on him and you just have like pure crit, you might be able to get to 50%. But I don't think 50% is enough to run him. You're gonna need way more so you can get, guaranteed crits with him. And then we got Urahara right here. I'm gonna give Urahara a B. Um, The reason I say that now, he's very expensive to get, right? Actually, do I want to put him in B or C? This is a hard one because while he's expensive to get, he's a really good support for Azure characters because he's a very good tank actually. Urahara can tank really well if you guys didn't know, and he gives shield to your team, and he's just overall a very good character, like a good support for Azure characters. But the problem is that he's very expensive to get, so it's honestly hard to rank Urahara, but it's definitely between C or B. Yeah, wow, it's really hard. I think I'm gonna actually leave him at C and put Gin at B. Like I said, Urahara is very good, but he's just very expensive to get, and that's why I'm probably gonna leave him at C. But I took up Gin to B actually just because of his 10% damage passive ability. It's an incredible ability. Right now we got Yamamoto here. S rank obviously he can burn, stun, reduce rage, it deals a bunch of damage. Not a lot that I gotta say. He's just an absolute monster. All right, and then we got Yoruichi right here. I'm gonna put Yoruichi in B tier. The reason I'm putting Yoruichi in B tier is because she's a really good support. Now, till this day, nobody really knows why the hell she's not out on the game yet. But she's actually a really good support for a Black Tortoise team. Like, if you want to run a 2-man Azure with a 4-man Black Tortoise, you can maybe do like Yamamoto, Yoruichi, and 4 Black Tortoise characters. She's actually a very, very good support for Black Tortoise teams. I really want her to come out already so I can try her out, but I have no idea what the hell is going on with her, man. Since it's Ongetsu, I'm gonna put in B. Now look, now technically Shinji is actually a better Tensei Zangetsu, but Tensei Zangetsu first of all is an Azure character, which is way way more viable, and second of all, everybody already has Tensei Zangetsu because they kinda had to summon to get characters when the game started, so everybody just has Tensei Zangetsu, but you don't have to summon for Shinji. If you're somebody who just started out the game, you should probably save and not summon for Zangetsu, and maybe you can go for Shinji. But at the end of the day, they're both not the best characters. They're decent characters, but they're not the best. So I would probably not even go for them. But the only reason I put Tensei Zangetsu at B, Tensei Zangetsu, I'm sorry, Zangetsu. Tensei Zangetsu is a different person. But yeah, the only reason I put Zangetsu at B is just because everybody already has him, and he's an Azure Dragon character, which is way more viable than Vermilion Bird. Luffy I'm gonna put at C. Now Luffy is a decent character, but once again he's a Vermilion Bird, not very viable. Ikako I'm gonna put at A. If you guys watched my Ikako video, I mentioned why he's an absolute monster. He can tank very well, but he can do amazing, amazing amounts of damage. I haven't tried him out myself yet, but I'm gonna get him from this coin event and see how he is. Yachiru, I'm gonna put in D tier. I'm sorry. She's a really good support for female characters, but as of right now, there is no good female team. That's the problem. Not to mention, she's a Vermilion Bird character, which makes it even worse. As much as I love Yachiru, it's just right now she's not viable whatsoever. She's a Vermilion bird, and she supports females, and females are not viable as of right now in the game, and this is just my opinion. We got Rookia. I'm gonna put in C tier. She's she's decent, but there's always better choices to run. She can freeze. She attacks all enemies, but there's just better choices to run, in my opinion. Um, Bunkai Tosher gets a B tier. He does alright damage, and he can actually tank pretty well, and he also gives shields. And he's an Azure Dragon. If you're running like a full Azure Dragon team, I feel like he's one of the tanks you might want to run with like Kisuke, because they're both going to be tanking very well for you since Azure Dragon has no real tanks. And he does do pretty good damage and also gives shields. Kampachi gets an S rank in my opinion, simply because Kampachi's also free to play, and his mastery skill is absolutely broken. It does crazy amounts of damage, and his rage attack is also really good. So because he's free to play and he's very viable, he gets easily an S rank character. Eisen is gonna go right into A rank. Um, Eisen is expensive to get. He's like $450, or you can just save up the shards from the squad rewards for a very long time. But for the people who did spend their money on them, Eisen is very good. He can disorient. He can even tank, since he has a chance to disorient people when he gets attacked. I know he gets a lot of hate, but in my opinion, he's definitely A rank worthy because he's a really good character and he has a really good Warsaw as well. Okay, Mayuri. In my last video, I put Mayuri, I believe, in C tier. Reason is because in my last video, I said that I'm not going off of their upgraded weapons. And Mayuri's absolutely, I'm sorry, but in my opinion, Mayuri's just dog shit without his awakened weapon. So, Mayuri without his awakened weapon is probably G tier or C tier, but with his awakened weapon, he's an A tier. He's all the way up there. Please, please, please. Mayuri without awakened weapon is all the way down here, but with his awakened weapon, he's up here. Because his awakened weapon gives him a 28% chance to paralyze, which is absolutely massive. But without his weapon, in my opinion, he's worthless because he does not do anything. That's my opinion on Mayuri right over here. Matsumoto is another A tier character. She carries you very good early on in the game, and even till this day, I see a lot of people using her because her silence is actually very good. And then last but not least, we got Renji, which I'm gonna give C tier. Renji as a tank is alright, but what's good about him is that he increases the block chance of your front row characters after he uses his mastery skill, and he has a chance to silence. Not that I've ever seen it happen, but it does say it in his rage attack ability. And that's why I put him in C tier, just because he increases the block chance of your front row characters. But yeah, guys, this is a tier list. Like I said, this is just my personal opinion. If you guys don't like it, it is absolutely fine. Let me know what you think in the comment section. As always, make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy my videos. Turn on notifications so you do not miss any future uploads. And please leave a comment for any questions. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Goodbye.